G'ia sas, and welcome to Greek News Global. I'm John Mangos. In this bulletin, chaos in the Middle East following provocation from Iran. An Iranian commander threatens missile strikes on Cyprus. Athens responds by sending military support to Cyprus. And in sport, Stefanos Tsitsipas slides further down the tennis rankings. But first, to the war in the Middle East. Former Australian ambassador to the United States, Arthur Sinodinos, says that US President Donald Trump needs a quick conclusion to the war with Iran, citing his pre-election commitment to halt forever wars and his America First policy.
The challenge for the US is to bring this to an early conclusion because the political pressure back in the US will increase if the conflict goes on for too long. President Trump was elected on a platform of no more wars, America first, and his base, members of his base will start to become more restless if this conflict seems to go on, particularly as it hasn't been very popular to begin with in terms of the polling we've seen to date. So he needs a quick conclusion. He always likes to go in, do the job and get out. He did that in Venezuela. He did that with the 12-day war against Iran last year. So he can't afford to get bogged down.
While Greece has sent frigates and aircraft to Cyprus in support, Sinodinos also played down the idea of Greece joining the conflict.
Being in the Eastern Mediterranean, there's no doubt that directly or indirectly Greece can be impacted by all of this. But that's a different proposition to saying that Greece as part of NATO gets dragged into this, because I think NATO is staying out of this. And the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's copped some stick from Trump because he hasn't been willing to get involved from the beginning with him.
Cyprus has pushed back against claims it was in Iran's firing line after reports of intercepted missiles heading towards Akrotiri sparked fresh concern in the Eastern Mediterranean. Defence Minister Vasilis Palmas told the Cyprus news agency there were no missiles launched toward the island, categorically rejecting the reports. Earlier, the British base at Akrotiri was hit by an Iranian drone. Government spokesman Konstantinos Letimbiotis backed that up, saying authorities see no indication Cyprus was under threat, but are closely monitoring developments. The comments contradict remarks from British Defence Secretary John Healey, who told BBC News that 2 Iranian missiles were seen headed towards Cyprus. But he stopped short of claiming that they were fired toward the island intentionally.
In Cyprus, we had 2 ballistic missiles fired in the direction of Cyprus. Now, we are pretty sure they weren't targeted at Cyprus, but nevertheless, it demonstrates how our bases, our personnel, military and civilians at the moment are at risk with a regime that is increasingly indiscriminate, widespread and uncontrolled in the attacks it's mounting.
Despite denials of being targeted, Greece is nonetheless ramping up its military presence in Cyprus, sending 2 frigates and 2 F-16 fighter jets to the region as tensions escalate. Defence Minister Nikos Dendias says the move follows what he calls unprovoked attacks on Cypriot territory, vowing Greece will contribute in every possible way to defend the Republic of Cyprus. Dendias travelled to Nicosia on Tuesday with Armed Forces Chief General Dimitrios Choupis for high-level talks with President Nikos Christodoulidis and Defence Minister Palmas. It comes after 2 drones were intercepted near RAF Akrotiri, just hours after the base was struck, and a passenger terminal at Paphos Airport was evacuated following a radar alert.
Μετά τις απρόβλητες επιθέσεις στο έδαφος της Κυπριακής Δημοκρατίας, διαβεβαίωσα τον κύριο Πάλμα ότι η Ελλάδα καθ' όλη την διάρκεια της παρούσας κρίσης θα συμβάλλει με κάθε δυνατό τρόπο στην άμυνα της Κυπριακής Δημοκρατίας ώστε να αντιμετωπιστούν οι απειλές και οι παράνομες ενέργειες στο έδαφος της.
A Greek spokesperson has declared all measures that have been taken are preventative and based on protocol, while citing that sending military support to Cyprus is an expression of solidarity. French President Emmanuel Macron has also confirmed France has sent aircraft and a frigate to Cyprus for extra support. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has come out to reaffirm the EU's commitment to collective security following the drone strike on the UK military base in Akrotiri in Cyprus. Von der Leyen said she'd spoken with Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulidis. Although it was the British base and not Cyprus that was the intended target, von der Leyen emphasised the EU stands firmly alongside its member states in the face of any threat.
In the last hours, we have witnessed numerous attacks, including a drone attack targeting the British airbase in Cyprus. We also saw a strike on the Saudi Aramco oil facility. And I condemn in the strongest terms these reckless and indiscriminate attacks by Iran and its proxies against sovereign territories across the region.
Athens is within striking distance of Iranian missiles, according to a newly released infographic from Israel's foreign ministry. The map shows Iran's ballistic missile range stretching well beyond the eastern Mediterranean and into Eastern Europe. According to the assessment, missiles capable of travelling up to 2,000 kilometres could theoretically reach Athens, bringing Greece into a potential threat zone for the first time. Israel officials stress the map shows technical capability, not intent. Meanwhile, an Iranian commander has issued a renewed warning Cyprus could be targeted by missile attacks, accusing the United States of expanding its military operations on the island. Brigadier General Ibrahim Jabari of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard claims American forces have transferred the majority of their aircraft to Cyprus. He went on to say the island would face sustained strikes designed to force a US withdrawal. In a television broadcast, the petulant commander repeated that such strikes would force the Americans to leave the island. Turkey's President Erdogan has bought into the potential crisis by criticising attacks on Iran by the United States and Israel. He claims there's been a clear violation of international law, adding Turkey shared the pain of the Iranian people. Erdogan said Turkey would intensify its contacts at all levels until a ceasefire was reached and calm achieved in the regions. He said the continuation of the conflict carried serious risks for the region and the world that nobody could handle. An estimated 1,500 Greek citizens are among tens of thousands of international travellers stranded in the United Arab Emirates, facing mounting uncertainty as the conflict continues to paralyse the region. Thousands more Greeks living and working in Gulf countries face fear and uncertainty after the Iranian attacks on neighbouring states forced authorities to shut down airports and close airspace across the region. Many Greeks remain confined to their homes as airspace closures prevent departures. Greek Foreign Minister Yorgos Gerapetritis says the Foreign Ministry has activated plans to ensure the safe evacuation of Greek citizens from affected areas. In other news now, and controversial former Finance Minister of Greece, Yannis Varoufakis, claims he's being prosecuted after admitting to a decades-old experimentation with illegal drugs. Varoufakis has been charged with promoting and advertising drugs. He confessed to taking marijuana and ecstasy in Sydney 36 years ago while living in the Australian city. Varoufakis is a famous, outspoken left-wing economist, author and critic of Greece's Conservative government. He's set for trial in December, and Mr Varoufakis will be a guest on Ouzo Talk in the coming weeks. False accusations about Australian Greek Orthodox Archbishop Makarios has cost veteran Greek journalist Alkis Morelas more than $300,000 in damages after a guilty finding by the federal court. According to the decision, Morelas defamed Archbishop Makarios in 4 online articles he wrote for Greek-language website Greek Flash News. The court declared he falsely accused the church leader of stealing money from a Black Summer bushfire charity appeal, spending church money on personal vacations, and failing to take action against a priest accused of child sexual abuse. The federal court found there was no reliable evidence of appropriate fact-checking before the publication. To Melbourne, and St Basil's Homes for the Aged has pleaded guilty to a COVID-19 breach in the early days of the pandemic after an outbreak at the Faulkner Cemetery in July 2020. The first confirmed case was recorded on the 9th of July, and within days, widespread infection was identified after all residents and staff were tested. In the weeks that followed, 45 residents died from COVID-19 related complications, prompting investigations by health and workplace safety authorities. WorkSafe Victoria originally brought 9 charges under workplace safety laws. After discussions between the parties, the matter was resolved without going to trial. St Basil's agreed to plead guilty to 1 charge only, and the other 8 charges were withdrawn. Sentencing has been scheduled for later this month. 2 men have been arrested for migrant smuggling after transporting 58 migrants to the Greek island of Rhodes and have been charged with felony-level offences. The suspects are both Turkish nationals and were apprehended following a pursuit by the Hellenic Coast Guard. Authorities say the 2 men had earlier disembarked 24 men, 11 women and 23 children on the coast of Rhodes near the village of Gennadi after a speedboat crossing from Turkey. While migrant flows are lower than in past years, it's feared the war in the Middle East could quickly increase flows. More than 3,000 migrants have entered Greece illegally so far this year. To New York, and more than 1,500 members of the Greek diaspora have attended an event aimed at reversing Greece's so-called brain drain. The initiative, known as Rebrain Greece, is designed to encourage skilled Greeks living abroad to consider returning home for career opportunities. Professionals from across the United States and Canada gathered to explore job prospects, investment pathways and networking opportunities with leading Greek companies. Organisers say the program reflects a broader effort to reconnect Greece with its global talent pool, strengthening economic ties while offering a potential pathway home for thousands of expatriate Greeks. Still in the United States, and Greece has been strengthening its push to attract American visitors with a new tourism strategy presented in New York. The Secretary-General of the Greek National Tourism Organization outlined plans to expand Greece's footprint in the highly competitive US travel market. The strategy places particular emphasis on engaging the Greek-American diaspora, seen as a vital bridge between the two countries. Officials say diaspora communities play a key role in promoting cultural ties, heritage travel and repeat tourism. The initiative aims not only to increase visitor numbers, but also to deepen economic and cultural connections between Greece and the United States. To sporting news now, and Greek pole vault Olympian and European indoor champion Emanuel Karalis has become the second highest pole vaulter in history, with an incredible jump at the Greek Indoor Championships. Karalis, who has now earned the nickname Flying Manolo, cleared a 6.17 jump, having already cleared a world lead of 6.07 metres on his first attempt. The 6.17-metre jump has only ever been conquered by Sweden's Armand Duplantis, a longtime friend and rival of Karalis. The current world record is 6.3 metres, held by Duplantis in Tokyo, where Karalis won silver. And Greek tennis hopeful Stefanos Tsitsipas has been bundled out of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, only to see his title defence collapse in the first round. It means he forfeits the 500 points he earned in last year's triumph, relegating him to number 42 in the live ATP rankings. It's the first time he's dropped out of the top 40 since May 2018. And finally, Tom Hanks' son says he's stuck in Colombia without a valid passport to return to the US. The 35-year-old initially travelled to Puerto Rico, then went to Medellin. He says he brought his Greek passport because his American passport was about to expire. The strategy backfired when he tried to leave Colombia. He was told at the airport that because he was travelling with a foreign passport, he needed to show a green card to re-enter the US. And that's it for this edition of Greek News Global, recorded on the 4th of March 2026. I'm John Mangos. Gya σας και να είστε καλά.